The report is recording.
It already is recorded.
already
We'll just
recording.
go back and trim it later.
Sounds good.
At least it better be recorded.
Okay. All right. I think I'm ready to do stuff. Hi, everybody. How are we doing today? It's 1:01. People have had 1 minute to be late. So, that's what we're got. Yeah. Well, we got one person on Zoom. So that's something. There's one more person than we see. But thanks for joining me about smart plan stuff. Yeah. So everybody here, what kind of knowledge set are we working with? Do people have any smart plans going at all in here?
I think we do, but I'm not sure if they're actually.
We're gonna go halfway. Anybody? Yeah. We'll get you there.
But don't teach me.
We'll teach everybody. I have the exact same computer, by the way. I like mine. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the way I think about smart plans is kind of like it's the best way to describe it, sort of like tools in a toolkit, right? So you're trying to keep up with everything you intend to keep up with. So you want to give yourself options. So I try to kind of lean into how do I have the most options without being overwhelmed by all of my options. So it's a sort of like a balance between less is more and having what you need. So here is just sort of my personal command. These are the ones that I was using for a while. Now I'm on a team with my wife and everything. I've got a bunch of smart plans over there that are, maybe a little bit more complex, and I'm learning about the needs of multiple people in one database, but we're going to stick to the sort of the single agent kind of concept here today. So what I have been encouraged by Daniel here to do is to come up with a couple of situations. One is, what if you get a lead from Facebook, or we're just going to say an online intake, or an in-person, maybe you're in the supermarket, or a past client nurture, or someone that you're just trying to keep in touch with like that. So how do we solve those problems, or how do we make sure we don't forget about these people, essentially? And I am going to just talk, and I'll try to remember to stop and say, anybody have questions? But if you got questions, like, jump in, I won't be insulted, talk right over me and get that question in. So as far as the Facebook one goes, starting with what we're seeing here, that's probably the most streamlined way to bring someone into your database, because command's directly connected to Facebook if you're using the Facebook campaigns. And that one will auto tag. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too, as far as your contacts. Everybody know what tags are in your contacts? So not every source will bring a contact in and automatically put a tag on it, but the Facebook intake will. And that's a really powerful detail for smart plans, because you can set up a smart plan to say, as soon as something comes into my database with a tag, I can put them on the smart plan and it's off to the races. So say someone fills out, a Facebook, I want to see this thing that I'm doing. They fill out their form, put in their information, goes into Facebook. They're tagged as, you can come up with whatever, like open house Saturday date, give yourself a hint, because you're going to use that tag. And then you've got a smart plan that's just maybe your open house smart plan, and you've got a tag trigger at the top. And if you put in that same tag as you've got with your Facebook auto tag, as soon as they come in, they're going to go on to that smart plan, which can really help if you're doing something like, maybe it's, you're at the open house and someone clicks the link and you can't call them right away, but you can make that first step, maybe a text, and it just sends out a Twilio text right then. That speed to lead concept takes off and they get that, or an email or whatever else. And then later on, you can set a task that says, remember to call this person, or whatever it's going to be. So that by the time you actually make that manual task, they haven't been forgotten. Something has reached out to them. So that's kind of the concept of it. So what I do, as far as that goes, is I've got these plans, and I've got them kind of just labeled as just really kind of basic, because when I was doing, Dreama can draw on her screen. Hi, Dreama. So when someone comes in, I usually just say, how do I make sure I remember this person, right? So I just have a basic, boop, one-step follow-up plan. It's almost like, why did I even waste my time, right? And the reason is because we have this bulk add feature in the contacts. So maybe I import a list of 300 people that all have the tag buyers interested in Guilford County or something like that, right? I can take all 300 of those people and bulk add them to this follow-up plan and say, I want them to join it at a rate of 5 people a day. And then every day, 5 people will go to my task list from that list, and it'll say, I'm going to call these 5 people, and I'm going to slowly work my way through that task list without getting 300 tasks all at the same time and just getting walloped, and all of your other tasks get washed out. Where are the important ones? All that stuff doesn't really happen. So it looks like a really simple plan, but I use this kind of thing constantly. Something comes in, don't forget it. Now, this is where I kind of get up on the soapbox of command, where it's that works if you're working with your task list, if you're working with command. So it's, I've said this a bunch of times, like the best tool in your toolkit is the one you actually use. So if you're not into that task list, if you're not updating command, if you're not using your contacts, none of what we're going to talk about today is going to work. So you've got to be sort of engaged. Bye. So you've got to get used to that, like get used to looking at your task list every day. What did you intend to do today? Who did you intend to talk to today? You're following your own plans, right? I think it's important to talk to this person within 3 days. Hold yourself accountable to that, I make that, go to your task list, make sure it happens. So that's the first just real basic one. And normally what I'll do is I'll put someone in and I'll have them intake on that. Real basic 1-step plan. Remember to call this person. It's going to task to my task list.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
You sure can.
Jonathan? All right.
I'm gonna go edit here so we can see.
I think a lot of people too are just, they're kind of scared of smart plans in general too, because I mean, it's like this robotic, almost like computer language to some people. If you wouldn't mind, you've already stepped out of it. I was gonna actually have you hit the create button just to show how easy. So like that 1-step one, just how easy it is to create that.
Yeah, we can do. I'll jump out of that. Right into here, but
Sure.
you can see that first one is just make a call, which isn't so different from create task. Honestly, it's just what is this task telling you to do? I set the priority level to none because if something hits my task list as none, it means I haven't addressed this yet. And then I go to the task list, and as soon as I've done something with it, I might, put the priority down there. And if I'm looking at my list and I see stuff that is low priority, it means I've tried something here. I'm going to try something again. I don't think anything's developed yet. Or if I made contact, I might go medium, or if I've got, someone that's really excited and they want to talk to me in 2 days, and that might be high. And you just kind of make a judgment call there. But that priority level none is a little indicator to me that either there's something on my list that I haven't done yet, and I can quickly filter, and we can look at the task list and you can see kind of how I make that come together. But in indulging Daniel here,
I appreciate it.
let's go to the create so that we can see just how simple this is. So you go up here to create, and this is over in the smart plans little widget over here, and we're going to call this, I get to make a test plan. It's been so long. Test plan. Too many caps. Test plan. Why? It's got to be a unique name or it'll yell at you. So if you keep putting on general plan, it's going to tell you to rename it. But this is it. This is just the basic, this is how you start. And then the trigger is up here. We can't add a trigger until you have a plan that functions. So it's going to give you this like wrong signal right there. And that's just because you don't want to accidentally have someone jump on a plan that isn't functioning. So it's going to require you to fill in the blanks before it'll let you do that. So these are the different like nodes you can add to a plan. There's tips and rules down here. I've read them out to people. I've read them myself. Largely, I find that I don't run into these barriers. If you're putting together a plan, that without the intent to just blow someone up, like you shouldn't be sending someone like 5 texts in a day. If you've got that mindset of I just want to nurture this person, you probably don't need to know most of what this has to say.
Not to do the same thing.
You can try. Sometimes too little, sometimes too much, right? But yeah, I mean, read through them just so you're familiar with it. There's some stuff in there that you might need to know as far as like how a text work. I don't think they talk about it here, but if, for instance, like a text won't send out at a not like what I would call a non-waking hour. I can't remember when it cuts off at 7 p.m. I think Central Time, something like that. It's something like 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. It'll send out if it's triggered to do so. But if it's outside those waking hours, we're good. I'm good. Not the one I need. If it's outside those windows, it'll reschedule to go through the waking hours of the next day, but not necessarily right at 10. So just kind of be aware of that. If you're setting up something that has text messages and someone opts into one of your forms, or they're supposed to get a text message and it's like 2 a.m, they're not going to get that at 2 a.m. They're going to get that at an appropriate hour. They're not going to get like sore at you, which is the idea. But everything else is going to go when it's supposed to. Like someone can get an email at midnight and it's not a huge deal. So that's going to go off. But here's the different tasks. So you got create task, which I talked all about task lists. We're going to end up there so we can see what that looks like. But that one is, you're going to put that on. If you're on a team, you can select who gets it as far as who's assigned. So if you've got like 3 people on a team, you can make it, go to the rainmaker or go to the assigned contact. Is anybody in here trying to learn about team functionality? Okay, you are? Okay. As far as the two of you trying to split it up, okay, I'll try to kind of make sure we talk about that a little bit. I don't believe that. But yeah, you can set that up so that I'm not in my team account. But up here you would see, it would say, do you want this task to be assigned to just the rainmaker or the assigned contact? I don't think you can just handpick who it gets assigned to. If memory serves, I think it's got to be either the rainmaker or the contact assignment. But if you've got a bunch of different contacts in your database and you've got 10 team members, you can assign all to the 10 team members. And what that does is it'll go to their task list for one, which means your task list stays nice and clear. You're only going to see ones that are for you, unless you're like the rainmaker, or if all of your permissions are wide open, then you would want to toggle the task list. You'll see a little my tasks thing, so you only see yours, but you'll see everybody's because you're in charge and you should know what everybody's doing. But then or not doing, right? And then there's also these merge fields over here. One of my favorite tricks in merge fields is contact first name, contact last name. Send someone an email, say hi, contact first name, contact last name. But it populates from what you have filled out in your contacts, what it's going to say, like, Joe Don Baker, or whatever whatever you have it in there. That also means that make sure that when you're inputting your contacts, little things like make sure your capital letters are right, make sure you've spelled it properly, make sure that anything in there is appropriate for people to read, even if you're certain no one will ever read it.
And if you use the merge field, make sure you have something to merge.
It'll skip it. It'll skip it. But yeah, that's true.
Hello,
Like
and then last name.
if you have someone in like just as Joe and it says hello, contact first name, contact last name, you'll get an error when I try to put you on that plan that says something about this plan is trying to be done that you don't have the information for. It won't tell you what, but you can say assign anyway. And I think there used to be a bug where it would just say contact last name, and that was removed when I was in your chair. So that shouldn't do that. So you have that to go on. But this is great stuff. As far as the merge fields go, you can use it for the team functionality also. So when you say like, hello, agent first name, it's going to go to the assigned agent to that contact. So you can say hello to you or from you, depending on who's been assigned to. Same thing with the email address it's going to use for the biweekly nurture and all that stuff. So it really kind of individualizes that. We're going to go down to make a call, which you're going to see isn't so terribly different from task. It's the same concept. It's going to go to your task list. A lot of the fields are the same, task name. You can put in, call. And then I like to say contact first name. And then I like to make a note, because usually this plan has some kind of a purpose. Like if it's just an intake plan and I want to remember to do this, I'm going to say something like, contact this person, then assign to a plan. Excuse my typing because I'm typing really fast. And then I might kind of just let it be that. And the reason I make that first step plan so simple is because maybe you put 10 people on your task list. Maybe you call 3 of them today, 3 of them tomorrow, and the remainder the next day. But if you've got something else on your list that's like 2 days from now, remind me again to call this person. But you didn't get to that first task right away, then you're going to start to see double tasks on your list because maybe you didn't get to that first one. So I usually make this first one nice and simple. Do what you meant to do with this person. And then while you're calling them or texting them or emailing them or whatever you think is right, sending them a personal note, whatever your flavor is, after you're done with that, then make sure they got their neighborhoods assigned. Make sure you put them on the biweekly nurture or the monthly nurture or assigned to whatever smart plan that you're going to do. And I usually take that task and move it down the road if I intend to call them again, so that it's always just one task per contact and I'm not getting bombarded. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. We'll come back around to that when I go to the task list, because you can't really talk about smart plans without talking about the task list, really. Any questions so far?
I was going to interject something.
Yeah,
if you don't
please,
mind,
please.
Since Joe reminds me of it being the king of scripts. That's actually an opportunity too, even though that's just a phone side, you're the only one seeing this.
Mhm.
You can go ahead and put what script you're going to use. So you could actually make a smart plan that's specifically like, met on the street or met at an event or something like that, and have that script copied and pasted in there. And you could even go as far as, because of the functions, you could actually have hello first name. So whenever it shows up on your phone and you're about to call them, or on your screen and you're about to call them, hello, Frank, and start saying it. So everything's in that nice compact, ready to go thing.
You can definitely do that. Yeah, I think that's a really strong point. I never considered putting the script in there. The only thing that I've noticed that in practice, if you're gonna say like this, and then you're gonna put some spaces here and put other like words, and then go down here and put like more words, that's all gonna come in as one line. You're not gonna get the formatting. So you don't get that paragraph, tab, bullet points, any of that stuff. It's just gonna come in as though it were, when you get the task, it's gonna look something more like this. It's just going to be in a line. So no matter what formatting you put in this box, it's going to come in like that, which can be a little bit of a bummer if you're someone like me and you like square corners and be able to see anything really neatly. But what the advantage does get is it actually fits it into that task box too. So you actually read it all because you only get like a little bit on the task. So there's a little give and take there, but do be aware of that. If you're going to like try to format a whole paragraph, it's going to look really pretty in your smart plan, but when it hits your task list, it's just going to be one block paragraph.
Or if you have a tabletop script book, you can put the title of the script there and tell you which one to refer to for quick reference.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know if people online heard that. I think we're close enough to the mic, but Jordan's saying you can just use that as a reference for a script. You know, if you've got a book or some other sources, I'm reading this one for this thing. Yeah, and that's what those notes are for. Sometimes down here, I'll put a hyperlink to that. That is not as useful maybe for some people. No, not at, dot. Moving too fast. Dot, dot. Yep, nope, it's mad at me because I did that instead. I've got stage fright typing. Come on, everybody.
Comment, not a period.
Yep, that's it. Everyone's a great typer until someone's watching. Does anyone ever find that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll copy this sometimes and I'll just drop it into here because a lot of times you put something on Facebook for like someone wanted to see 123 Main Street and they intake to that. So maybe you just want to be able to grab that real quick, go here and put in, 123 Main, and you can see, whatever it is they were looking at. So if they have questions like how many beds in that, how many baths is that, what's the square foot, you've at least got something. So that's sometimes I'll do stuff like that. It's helpful. Anyway. So moving on to send email, you can set the subject, you can, just like you're sending a standard email here. It's going to reply to whatever you've got in your command free 5,000 a month emails. It's going to send from whatever is attached to that account. And this will keep your formatting as opposed to what I was talking about before. So if you lay it out real pretty, it's going to look real pretty. You've got a bunch more. I think this is the one that has the most merge field options, unless you're in designs and you're designing an email, then there's like a arsenal of merge fields, but we're not going to do that today. I'll leave that to Daniel someday. This is the most options in smart plans: contact, first name, last name, their email, their phone number, their birthday, if you have it, home anniversary. So you're just going to be strategic with that stuff. It was a team, agent, first name, last name would go to whoever was assigned, like I was saying. Team name is great. KW Backlink is a really great thing too. If you're using the app, you're encouraging people to do that. But then there's also designs. You can click over here, still do the subject, and you're going to have to select a design that you already have. So, this is where it can get, you might need to maybe bounce off Daniel or get a KW answers because we're not doing a design class today, but I will say this much. You can see how all of these say email on them. When you're going into a design, if you're not using a template that says email, you're not going to, because these are not all of my designs. These are only the 4 designs that I've used that are specifically email templates. So if you go to like Canva and you make this big, beautiful newsletter, you can still use it. You'll have to download it. You'll have to get one of these templates, like an email template, and you'll have to import that picture that way and use that email template to find it in your design. So you didn't waste your time. You just, you got to do that step so that command can actually find it. And then I'll kind of leave it alone. There's more to be said in how you design all this stuff, but I think that's a different class. So we'll come on back here and we're going to go back to my test plan, which has no steps to review because I didn't save it. So that is something that you need to remember too, like as you're going, big save button. Lucky for me, the only thing I did was this, that, and that thing. We're back. So the next one is send text. Got to have Twilio connected for that. I think everybody's heard about Twilio at this point. Anybody anyone have question marks? Okay. I recommend it. It's super cheap. It's a practical thing to use. There's other solutions there if you want to send a Twilio text out of other stuff, but you can type in the text message. You can put hyperlinks in here. So I think actually it depends if it's an iPhone or not. if it's sending it to an Android, I think you might get this big, long, ugly hyperlink. And then if you've got an iPhone, it makes it like a nice little rounded button. So it just depends on who's receiving it. But nonetheless, if you take, this to Main Street, Chincoteague, Virginia, and pop it in here, it will be something that they can navigate to. You just have to maybe, you can always send it to yourself first. That's the big command trick, is test it on yourself. Then there's dynamic texts. And this is another one of my favorite tricks. So I would say, let me get rid of these so this makes more sense. So there's static and dynamic. Static just means you're going to send one text and you're done, and it moves on to whatever next step of the plan is, like what we've been doing. If I do dynamic over here, as opposed to that, I can add up to 6 texts. Boom, that's it. So this is like, a link, message to, and like I said, excuse my typing today. This is all just for the purposes of exampling. But that's right. Every time it circles back around, you're going to see the next one, right? So 4, 5, and 6. So then what you would want to do is restart Smart Plan, however many times, and that is about all you need. So what it's going to do is come on around and just be like, all right, we're going to send out this one, and then it's going to come back around. You're going to need to put in a delay, I think, because that's required.
Right.
Yeah. So it's going to be like text one delay, restart Smart Plan. And then the following time it's going to send the next one. Delay, restart Smart Plan. It's going to keep moving down like that. So if you've got, like I've got a plan on mine that's just like a text cycle plan for an intro plan that sends out something every other week. So I can just put something on the intro text plan, and for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, they just get one little reminder like, hi, I'm still here, kind of a thing. One thing that it doesn't do to keep in mind is the add to Smart Plan little button here has to be at the bottom. So it will come around, it'll add to a Smart Plan and then come around again and then add to a Smart Plan. And so that can be a little bit wonky. You might have to have a manual touch if you're using some complexities there as far as logic goes. I haven't run into that as a problem very much, to be perfectly honest.
Quick question on that. So should you, with that restart the Smart Plan, should you limit it to how many texts you have? Like, let's say you had 6 text messages that you did in that set. Would you want to say only 6 times?
That is a piece of trivia I don't have a solid answer on.
Okay.
I feel like you might.
I was playing devil's advocate a little bit. I would limit it. I would set the restart Smart Plan to how many cycles you have, just so people don't all of a sudden start getting the first one again and be like, oh, wait a second, I felt like I was being personally touched, and now all of a sudden I'm getting what I got, 6 weeks ago or what have you.
You can.
So,
Presuming that they did read the original.
It's true.
Exactly. Hey, the rule of thumb with it is when in doubt, always go towards like the safer bet.
Yeah.
And since you are going to put yourself on these Smart Plans, again, you will put yourself on these Smart Plans to test it. You'll definitely see like if it were to recycle, but just be careful. Yeah, I would go ahead and put that just to ensure that you don't start sending message 1 again to people.
So I'm going to touch on one more point on constructing a Smart Plan, and then a lot of this class is going to start to move a little bit faster because we'll be able to kind of talk about concepts rather than, the bits and pieces. But this last thing is sort of, I think, the powerhouse of Smart Plans, as nerdy as that sounds. So you've got like create task. Let's say you're going to remind yourself to do something. You're going to set a delay, and then you want to send them a text, and then maybe you'll set a delay and you want to make a call. Let's say that's the initial contact step. Then I'm going to do add to Smart Plan. And I'm going to pick something off of my list. Let's say monthly neighborhoods, right? Something really, really cool that was just this big like aha moment for me for how functional these can be is you can add them to another Smart Plan. So you can go set delay and add to another Smart Plan. So I can have like 10 Smart Plans in my list, but if you really wanted to automate, technically you could have people intake on one and have that Smart Plan connect to all of the other ones. You'll never have to worry about it again, as long as you've thought about how that plays through. Does that kind of make sense to everybody? as far as like, maybe you have like an intro plan and then someone adds to a monthly nurture. And then a few steps later, they add to a text cycle. And then a few days later, it adds to like an email plan. But they're all written and you're not actually taking the time to go through your task list and put them on every individual one. That intro plan is doing that for you. Everybody kind of keeping up with that? Because that was just like, whoa, that's amazing. Like, I don't have to nurture all these things manually and do all these clicks every day, like.
And all this, because I'm at, point one. I want to ask questions, but all the rest of you probably are.
Ask the questions.
I don't know what to ask.
That's fair.
At that level, but
Yeah.
like, okay, I remember he said it could do that, so I'll be saying.
Sometimes that's just enough. If you know what it can do and you can ask the question and we can get you there, Dan
I
can get you there.
looked down and missed where you were pulling stuff up from, so I eventually got caught up to that. We're doing good.
Oh, Keenan asked a question when he answered. This is recording and going to YouTube, right?
Yep,
Yep.
sure is.
Keenan, yes, this will be recorded and posted to YouTube because he can hear me. So I don't have to
Very
type it.
nice, yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay.
And you could twiddle around with this literally, and it's pretty easy to kind of catch up on or teach yourself as you're going along.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, definitely.
User friendly.
I find that it's, yeah, the bump up, bump down thing can be a little bit disorienting sometimes because all the nodes are at the bottom. But yeah, I mean, largely you just kind of click a thing and it adds it in at the bottom of wherever of whatever you're working on. So if you're up here and you want to add, like, make a call, it's going to zoop you all the way to the bottom. So just kind of know that. What's up?
Oh, just to get me to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's where I was. I live here.
I can slow down a minute. I'll sip some tea and we'll
Let's go back.
pump
to
the brakes.
Can I turn my computer on?
Is it plugged in?
So for every individual contact, you create an individual plan.
You create one plan that you can put all of your contacts on.
Okay, so you create a plan, then you attach all your contacts to that plan.
You could.
So, I'm-
Or you could attach them by tags.
Right. So you can have, depending on the flavor of your contact, what they need.
Like even a certain neighborhood. Like
Hmm.
then you can just. Spot stay.
Oh, you understand?
Oh, yeah.
So that's all.
All right.
I mean,
Well, my boyfriend lives on this, yeah, so my sister has, but my boyfriend has not, like, holy.
Well, I mean, here, Let me get,
Yeah.
let me,
my-
well, it's shameless plug here. Anyone who's teaching tech should bring this up. KW Answers. It's answers.kw.com. This is the solutions to all the things. You go to answers.kw.com, you can type in smart plan. And you don't even have to do it well, see? And you'll get there. Like how to add a thing to a thing.
is that on here?
It's on the internet.
So what you may not have noticed too, they've actually broadened something else for you as well. Can you go back to command for a quick second?
Sure.
So that connect button has completely and utterly changed from what it was a month ago.
Duplicate,
Um,
connect.
if you click on connect, you can actually just type in the question now. Do the same thing, smart plan.
Up here.
Yep.
I didn't know this was a thing.
Oh, it's a fantastic thing of that.
Did I spell it right? I did. Let's search smart plan. Should I do connect or learning?
Just hit enter. It doesn't matter.
All right, go.
It's gonna show us all the things.
They actually did something with connect. Yay.
So it's actually integrating the KW answers as well as classes, as well as
The instructor manual.
exactly, pretty much all of Keller Williams
Create a
resources.
Smart plan.
Yeah,
See?
all Keller Williams resources put together. Yeah.
See, here's 7 minutes. I can just play this and go home. You guys are. What am I even doing? But yeah, I mean,
Keep that in mind.
a lot of the time, when I was
Over
in.
here on the right.
I'll pause this so it's not making noises. When I was in Daniel's shoes, someone would ask me a question and I'd be like, I'll get right back to you. Answers.kw.com and learn it and then get it back. So this is the instruction manual. And it's really friendly. A lot of them have videos. A lot of them have, I feel like I've said this. Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting right back in. Yeah. No, strong recommend.
And if something else nice with Connect to so I love KW answers, like their layout is just phenomenal and it's very simplistic. So if literally you're looking for an answer to something, yes, KW answers. If you're trying to learn about something, click the connect button because it'll even show free, paid for, upcoming events, things like that. All in that one space that the KW answers wouldn't necessarily give you. So
Filtered by video.
it's really a nice little,
See videos.
more all encompassing. Is that even a word? I'm just
I
making
learned
it.
this today. This is, why am I here? We could all just go to lunch. What are we doing? It's fine. I'll find other uses.
Yeah.
Diamond book.
That was under connect.
Mm.
So in command up across the top, there's a bunch of tabs that don't exist.
I'll go here.
Uh,
So like if we're from home, we're up here, like at the home screen, boop, connect right there.
I'm sorry. I look down and say, yeah, there's my command and then wait.
and it used to be a completely, in my opinion, it was a completely pointless button whenever I joined.
Yeah, it was just sort of a way to see sort of the agent's view of other agents.
Yeah, that was
about it, and nobody really used it.
No, not at all.
I clicked on it a couple times, like, all right, I have no idea what's over here, so.
Book
And then
clubs.
going back.
That's good.
Sure.
Sometimes
Cool.
I do that every day, I guess.
It's its own little tool too. You can actually like bookmark things. There's podcasts on there. I mean, it's the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to swim through this a little bit. I didn't know this would had all been redone. That's cool.
The side note, the book clubs are really cool too, because a lot of the book clubs are actually done by the authors. So you can actually like do a virtual book club with people that wrote the books. So that's a nice little feature there.
Daily habits, financing, growth opportunities. All right, yeah, smart plans. Back to smart plans. That's pretty cool though. So, all right, so this is, we talked about task call, email, text, delays. You can set a delay for up to 369 days. And I think what's that? The total smart plan can only go that long too. 300 cannot exceed 370 days. So if you set, like emails forever, it's going to yell at you if you try to do that manually, but you can do unlimited repeats if you need it to, and that's fine. So does everybody kind of get? So if you can do like text a bunch of days, text a bunch of days, text a bunch of days, and if that adds up to something greater than 370, it's going to give you an issue. But you can do like 3 texts, repeat, unlimited repeat, and you're good if that's what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm going to show you this because I haven't filled any of this stuff out. I'm going to try to save it and it's going to say, no, you can't do that. You have to fill out the things because your plan isn't functioning. If somebody came onto this task, I have nothing to tell you in this task. It's just going to ask you to fill out the basics. So let's get rid of a bunch of this so I can kind of show you the trigger part.
And would you like to do library or do you want me to do library?
Library. Oh, you can do the library.
You want me to do that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to do. So I'll wait till the end though, so feel free to skip all that fun stuff.
All right. So let's see here. We'll move all of this. So create task. And that might be all I really want it to be, right? So priority level, I set none. I always do today so that I can just very quickly see what's up, and then you'll see kind of the filtering on that. Task name, all, contact first name. This is smart plan class. Smart plan class reminder. Contact this person, right? It's really simple. Just a one-step smart plan so that I can put a bunch of people on a reminder list really easily. That's why it exists. Name it test plan. Now I can save it. And now it'll allow me to put in a trigger event. So I can add a trigger. Someday these will be something that we do something with. And I hope that Daniel tells us when that occurs, because I'm hoping that what you can use as a trigger is going to get more in depth. I've been like holding my breath on that for a while, but for now, it's just whatever tags you have. So whatever tags you have in your database, you can pick whatever that is, whatever flavor you want.
You say that kind of the workaround on that though is how you build your database and how you nurture your database. Because if you are tagging often and early, then you're going to have a bunch of tags that whenever you're pulling from this list, you could very easily add somebody. So if one day you can't go to sleep and you come up, oh man, what would be an awesome smart plan to tell my clients the next morning, or you just get up and go ahead and do it. You can go ahead and tag those clients that would be
Yes,
great for it.
but then there's this thing though. If you add agent, choose, I don't think anyone's labeled as agent, but if anybody gets, it's gonna be a task to me, it won't matter. Choose trigger, confirm the trigger. This will start your smart plan when the tag is added to a contact. So this is leads into what I was saying. If I've got a database full of people tagged as agent and I'm adding this, that database full of people aren't going to go on to the smart plan as soon as I hit go here. They'll still need to be manually added. But anyone else who receives a tag from this point going forward will be automatically added. So you don't accidentally send out like 300 emails maybe when you weren't ready or for whatever reason. So at this point, I'm going to say confirm trigger.
Can you explain that again?
Sure can. So we've got contact tag triggers. I've just assigned agent to this task reminder plan that I put together, right? We're going to say, I don't think I have anyone in my contacts that's labeled as agent, but let's say I've got 300 contacts and 200 of them are tagged as agent. As soon as I save this plan, what won't happen is that those 200 people will be added to this plan. That is not what happens. But if I save this plan and exit it and I add a contact to my list and I tag that person as agent, that person I just added will automatically be put on this plan.
So new people will be added.
Right.
So if you want the old people, what do you have to do?
It's a great question. That's such a great question. So let's save this plan and we'll talk about that.
It's right now.
So I'm going to go to my contacts here.
I can see if you actually do have anybody listed as agent.
Well, this one is this is the limited contacts. So
Okay.
these are my people. These are my people. So you'll notice, there's all kinds of tags here. If I wanted to do that, I would select all of the people, select bulk action, add to smart plan, and add them to whatever tool in my toolbox I've given myself. So I can select, a filter that goes to, let's say I wanted to talk to agent, but that won't work because I don't have any. So let's say, I'm my tagged as test dummy so that I can test things on myself. Yeah. Everyone should be in your own database. Let's see. I think I have 3 test dummies. I should probably have 4. Yep, 3. Me, Darshan, and my wife, Sarah. So if I wanted to test something, I can send it out to someone who can give me some feedback really quickly. So I can select all of these people, bulk action, add to a smart plan, and I can just add them to this little one-step test plan. This is where this also steps in and gets kind of more fun. So I can put all 3 people on my task list. 3 people is no big deal. Let's put that on my task list. Why not? But what if there were 300 people, right? We were talking about this at the beginning. I don't want 300 tasks right now. That's not helping me any. It's just a mess. So you can select to start on a following date and get 300 people tomorrow or any other date. That still doesn't solve my problem. But then there's this stagger over the next few days. This one I really like. If you get a big list of people, and you're putting them in your database and you want to work through them, this is how you do it. So you want to say max contacts per day. How many calls can you make in a day on a good day? 3. So this is 3. If they all answer and they all want to talk, right? Yeah. But I only have 3 people here, so I can only go to max 3, right? If I had 300, I could do up to 300. So see a 1, 2, 3 reset, right? So you can't add more than you have. But I could say that every day I'm going to get 3 of these people on my task list to remind me to call them.
20.
20. I'm kind of, that's where I start to be like, you know what? I think I need a break. Right about there.
You need a drink.
So that's that stagger start. Did everybody kind of follow me all the way to this point and understand it and know how to get here? Feeling good about it? You're gonna be my watermark. All right. So it's the stagger start. If you put everybody on it, you select everybody. This is from if you're just in your contacts. Let's just say you put everybody in your database. They all have a tag of something. I'm using test dummy as the one I chose. But if you've got a list of 300 people and they're all like a nurture list from Guilford County and you just call it Guilford County nurture or whatever it is. Filter it by going over here, selecting the tag, hitting apply, and they're all going to show up there. And then you can select them. You'll notice that bulk action shows up and disappears only if you have someone selected. So if you can't find bulk action, it's probably because you haven't been selected yet. Select bulk action, add to smart plan. So, okay. So everybody's, I hope I'm not that boring. Like people are just falling over. Add to a smart plan, and then you can pick whichever one that you've put together. So that first step follow-up plan is the one that I'm kind of illustrating here, but we made the test plan to do it. Select, you've got a whole bunch of people, stagger them in 5 a day. Every day you check your task list, 5 new people have showed up. If you keep up with it, it's great. If you don't keep up with it, tomorrow you're getting 5 more. So, see how can you manage yourself with that? let's go to the task list and see how that comes together. I'm gonna add these people to the task list. I'm just say start all now so we see it. So me, Darshan, and my wife. Let's see that. So they've been added to this smart plan now. If you feel like you are not seeing all of your contacts, this is sort of just a little side note. People are like, my contacts have disappeared. You have a filter on. Go to the filters, say clear all and apply, and they're all going to come back. So if you ever get stuck there, that's one of the first things I would check is to click that filters button. Right up here, and you click that, and you get all of this stuff. The tag filters work in, well, we're not talking about contacts. I won't get into that. That's fine.
If
can
you're
talk
feeling
about that.
really lazy too, feel free to kind of click the home button or just one of the other sub programs of command and then go back to contacts and everything will be reset.
Unless you've got a smart view going, run into that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
accidental smart views. I've seen that happen. So I've got this create new task. Why don't I see everybody here, Daniel?
That's a good
That
question.
is too good of a question.
Did you stack?
I might. Here we go. Do it today. They're here. So right there, call Sarah, call Jonathan, call Darshan. The refresh button. That's what it was. So this is something that I really like. The import contacts. There's different ways that you can see what's going on with that contact. Jodan, I think I remember when you were doing the Ignite class about how the notes you take on people, so you can go back and because maybe you didn't call them in a couple of months. The timeline, if you wanted to keep all of this stuff, if you were to export it and import it, you would lose all of your timeline information. So just kind of, that's something to keep in mind. But what you don't lose is anything you've written over here in the notes section, and that'll come in. So I use notes just aggressively and all the time because I know that it moves around, and we put in this little test note. That there, add note, test note came in here. Go over here, we're going to reset this. This will pop up in this little task tag right there, test note. The notes show up there, the timeline stuff doesn't. So if you're bringing someone up and you just really quickly want to know, I talked to this person, they wanted me to call back after 4. That's when they're available. You put that there. So when you bring up the thing and you're just kind of going through your calls and you're moving really fast, you might stop here and say, oh, wait, no, it's like 2 p.m. This isn't going to work. I'll put that back on the back burner. I'll call them at 4, whatever it is. The description.
Is it scrollable that if you have a bunch of notes or different notes?
It does expand down to, it's like a character count. It doesn't say how many there are, but if you've got like this many notes, it's going to take however many characters. So it might, if you've got like 3 short notes, you'll see all 3. If you've got one really, really big note, you'll see only as many as it'll fit. So it's kind of a complicated question, answer to that. I'm sorry. Well, what's up?
If you have contacts, smart plan, you want to do all action. If somebody's already on that smart plan, will it add it to them the second time?
No, you can only one unique contact per smart plan. And it might just say like this person has already, you'll probably either get an error or it'll just ignore that you tried. I don't think it'll reset it if it's on I've never tested that. If it's on like a nurture and they're already on one that you set Tuesday and it goes every other week, if you set them again today, I don't think it'll reset for every
Because
other
like
week
you said,
today.
it just pops up the error
Yeah,
message
so
instead.
Yeah, I don't think it does anything. You might just say, nice try.
Copy the plan and call it something else.
You can. It depends on this. This is where it all kind of comes together with who are you as an agent? How do you reach out to people? What's your flavor? What do you need to know? Do you call people every day? Do you email people? Do you send handwritten cards? What do you do? And that's the answer is going to be different for every single person in here. Yeah. So you
On 100 handwritten cards today.
nice.
Yeah. Here's my, where's the, they came.
Do we have a question?
Yes, so when you add a new contact to the phone, all new contacts, take it to your app. Does those new contacts automatically go to the plan if they're under that same tag?
If they come in with a tag and you have a tag trigger, it will go onto the plan. Now, the question of how do I bring a contact into my database with an automatic tag? Right now.
Like the AOV off the AOV and my phone. So when I connect to the KW app and that leads those over to my contacts, will that be connected to that tag, therefore I don't have to add that to all of the ones that's tagged under AOV?
I think it's, I think the shortest answer to that is kind of no. When you, all right, so if you have, so I'm gonna flip flop your question. So if you've got a contact in your command, you're looking at your command app, there's a little 3-dot button, you can say add to contacts on your phone. So it goes the other way. You can import your contacts into command using the app now,
Yes,
but it doesn't give you an option to tag on the way in,
no,
not on your phone.
yeah,
But
even whenever you're importing from like a CSV file.
you can tag people from there. I
I'll
do
get
it.
you to help
I
me
do
with
it
that.
every single day. It's really
Yeah.
powerful. So if you wanted to do that on the PC, you had a spreadsheet and you tagged everybody as, like Smart Plans Day, and you had a tag that associated with that, all of the people you brought in would be automatically put on whatever smart plan and do whatever it is that you need them to do. So there's ways to do it, but it's limited to, are you importing on a sheet, or are they coming in through Facebook with an auto tag? Or when you put a contact in your database, are you remembering to put that tag on it so that they go merrily on their way on whatever plan you've got? Does that answer to be? Okay.
So that's, no.
Not as far as like, if you put someone in your phone, do they automatically go into your command with a tag and then gotta, nah, that'd be cool though.
Like part of it.
I think there's a way, I haven't explored this myself, but I think there's a way that API Nation can sync your contacts from Google Contacts to command in real time. And I think they can take it from a tag category. I don't remember if API Nation can apply a tag on the way.
I've been a little disappointed with how many contacts will come over using API Nation.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I did it for a little while. It worked okay.
for some of the agents, because, obviously I see a lot of people's databases. Some of them, I think the best I've seen is about 90%. But I have seen as low as like 20-30% of agent, or 20 to 30% of their database being brought over with API Nation. That's why I'm so excited about the app. Number one, it's free. And number two, with the app, you can pick what comes over and you manually see, hey, here's what came through. And it creates a CSV file of anything that didn't. So you can try to correct whatever didn't go through and then just manually upload the
Yeah.
difference.
If all that made zero sense to you, call Daniel.
Yep,
And it's gonna be
exactly.
great. We'll work it out. That's the kind of stuff that like, you need to do it once, the right way, one time. So there's, like, if you like that kind of stuff and learn it. But if you're not into that kind of stuff, let it get done one time right and do what you're good at. So I would definitely lean on that. But yeah, what brought us down this whole rabbit hole was notes for the win. Use the notes section more than other things. So if you go to this timeline and you do add an activity, that's really great. You can say, I called this person, I emailed them or text them or, whatever it is, and put in the information there, and you can see through their timeline, when's the last time I called them? When's the last time? What was the result of that? That's that sort of like, I'm about to call this person. What do I need to know? But I like to use these notes because they're more permanent and they're more upfront.
Use the timeline will go away.
It'll go away if you export the contact. So, all right. So if I take something out of my command and I put it into Daniel's command, I can't bring the timeline with me to do that. That doesn't make it go away when you export, but it doesn't bring it where it's going. But it will bring the notes. It's another reason why I like it. If there's something really important that I want to remember, put it in that notes section so that it stays with that contact. It's great for team stuff. If two people are in and out of the same database and you're sharing like who's calling who or whatever, it's nice to see what they've done on the timeline and notes. Yeah, it'll do that for you too. Yeah, right there. And it'll actually, it even puts in the time and who made it. So if you're in a team, see what's up. Yeah, and kind of, yeah, over here is going to do a lot more things automatically. Like if you've sent something here, like we've tested stuff here, like, test, got your text at, and we just kind of respond to like, what's the functionality of the thing? This is a great thing to do, where I'll send someone a Twilio text and say, hit me back. I want to see what that looks like, or call me on the Twilio number and I want to hear what that sounds like. Sarah and I do that all the time. Just to see what it's like on the other side of things. But you'll notice I can't edit any of this stuff. It's just something that happened and you can go through the feed. If your note was in some way inaccurate, I can edit it. I can trash it if I want to, but those are, I'm gonna get off my soapbox on it, but that's where, you should, if you've got something really important, I would put it there and just keep it trim as you can, but put the important information there.
I'm gonna give you a 3-minute break too, real
All
quick.
right,
on
go
that.
for it. Come on in.
So going with that as well, as far as your notes and your timeline, that is one of the importance of Twilio and one of the importance of using the command email that's in there. Whenever you use Twilio or whenever you're using the command email, it's going to automatically put those like that information into your timeline. So you don't have to worry about it. If you're sending a personal text, you're sending from your personal email, even your KW email, it's not automatically going to be there. Now, using your app, the command app, it does make it a little bit easier, because if, let's say, you open up your command app and it says, hey, call Fred. Well, you hit the call Fred, or you a text or whatever with them. Whenever you go back to the command app, it's actually going to pop up, hey, you called Fred or you texted Fred. Do you want to leave yourself a note about it? So you can easily like put that notation on your phone. So the app is really nice because it makes it easier if you have interacted with them in such a way that it's not going to automatically create a note. But also, I would highly suggest using Twilio, using your command email, because it automatically puts those in there. So you have that nice history.
That's sort of another interesting kind of like, we can go into the next point of like, okay, we understand how to make a smart plan. We understand, kind of what they do. And if you're on, jump in there if we've missed something. But let's go over and look at the task list again. You have that one initial, okay, I'm going to remember to call this person, right? So what I'll do from here is, what do I want to do next? So the next thing I might do is say, I called them, they didn't answer. I left them a voicemail and I shot them a text, but I want to give it one more shot before I kind of like get them into automation. So I might say, instead of complete task, which makes it go away, you can go to edit really quickly. And this is why I like the priority level none here.
I
you
can
can
make
see-
money.
Share it when you do. So you got over here the priorities. I can see really quickly, anything here that's got a priority that's not none is something that I've done. I've started at some point. It's ongoing. Like I know that I've made contact. It's not a fresh thing on my list. Up here, fresh items on my list. It has the none priority. And you can set that when you're setting up your smart plan. What priority will this have? So I set it to none because I can just really quickly see what's going on my list. And you can filter it by the due date, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But point is, I make this call. They didn't answer. I leave them a voicemail. I shoot them a text. And I want to remember to do one more follow-up thing, right? So I can go up here and re-edit all this stuff. I'm going to set priority to low because it means I have addressed this at least one time. And I'm going to move it to when I think it's most appropriate. So maybe I'll move it down 2 days and save the changes. You'll see it kind of pop down in the background there. And we'll go to due date and see all of that. So now it's going to remind me in a couple of days this same task one more time. I know that I've attempted it one time, so I'll I'll check my notes before I call this person, see whatever it is I need to know. And then I know that this is second contact because this is low and I've got some notes on the person. Maybe they're on a nurture or whatever it is. I've got their contact card pulled up because I'm talking to a person. I want to know what I need to know about them. You called them a second time, maybe they didn't answer. Maybe you left them a voicemail, shot them a text again, whatever you're going to do. That first contact, maybe you want to add neighborhoods. Well, I'll pop up so you can do it. This will go wherever your mouse pointer is. You got to hold down control and you can zoom in wherever you want to zoom in. It'll go wherever you're going. And neighborhoods is something that I'll add in because I like to do the neighborhood nurture. So I might click, a couple of neighborhoods, save it, and then we'll go to the smart plan. And I want to add them to something. I've tried them 2 times. I'm not going to call them every other day because I've got a database full of people. All I'll be doing is calling people and not calling everybody. If I resolve to call my entire database every other day, it's not going to happen. So add to a smart plan. I have this arsenal of tools. What do I do with this person? I've tried to call them once. I've tried to call them twice. I've got to start to step them into automation because manual touches aren't going to work anymore. I'm going to get overwhelmed. I can't do 300 tasks every day. So, but I'm on a I'm going to put Sarah on a nurture right now. I wonder if she'll text me about it. Monthly neighborhood nurture and the biweekly neighborhood nurture. I'll leave how you get those plans to Daniel when he talks about the library. But I might just say, add them to the biweekly nurture. We're going to start it right now. Confirm they get an email. This really nice, crisp email that automates from command using your command mail, goes to the person. It has something to do with whatever neighborhoods we put in. Like Waikiki Central for Sarah, because Hawaii. So that'll go on. You're not going to see it show up right away. And if command is experiencing like a lot of use, it might be a little bit slow. But even if you don't see it, it did, because I got in touch with you about this. It actually does assign everybody the thing, even if you don't see it, it'll remember. So don't lose hope. Hit that refresh button and it's going to pop back up. Smart plans 2, biweekly nurture, go to the timeline and you'll see that email sent. So she just got an email that has something to do with the neighborhoods that she has been assigned. It'll look something like this, and it's gonna look a little bit different on your phone, but it's just a really simple little neighborhood snapshot. What's available in the area? And people can browse the homes, and then they can click it and see something closer. And when that happens, it'll show up in their timeline that they viewed a thing up here. I don't think it'll do it for me clicking through like that, will it? No. But you can see all of that stuff. So I might put them on the biweekly nurture. Okay, I've tried to do something. We're gonna send this automated email. They'll get it every other week from the moment that I send it to them until they unsubscribe or I take them off of it. But maybe that's not enough. I want to make sure that I'm a calling person. I want to call this person again at some point. I just need to know when, and it needs to be infrequently enough that I'm not getting bombarded with calls. So you got solutions there. You can do the DTD2, where you can assign the person, their letters and be reminded by that. Does everybody know what that is? The database. Everybody gets a letter, I don't remember the list, like M and G, and you're calling. Yeah, A and W is one of them.
Yeah,
And so,
that's sweet.
oh, that's this week. So you would call anyone in your database, first name starts with A and W, or last name, either or. You're calling your A's, you're calling your W's this week. And then it just makes sure that you're calling everybody in your database. So you can do that, or you can add them to a plan that also accomplishes the goal of calling everybody once in a while. So maybe this is someone you want to follow up with more frequently. You can put them on a monthly call reminder. Mine kind of eases into it. So I get a reminder in about 2 weeks. And then after that, every 30 days, and then it links to something else.
Did you create that or was that?
I created that. But it's not hard. It's just a bunch of call tasks.
Now, can you create it?
And out to. Let's say the neighborhood, there's a this in the neighborhood, if wherever you live, they send it out, you do that.
No, not with the biweekly, because they're only going to get an email every other week from when you start it. It's going to be whatever neighborhood they've been assigned, and it's going to give them whatever has up to date, because it's the KWLS thing. So
Right.
whatever is going on in Waikiki Central is up to date here. Go back one and see if it lets me.
Yeah.
So this will be up to date when they get it. If they view it again, it'll be up to date, but they're not going to get
As the neighborhood updates, they won't get.
not in real time, but you can do that with an MLS if that's something you're interested in. And I would also say that I wouldn't just blast person X with something that many somethings. You're kind of like easing them into it. But if someone has said I really want to know about Waikiki Central, we're buying, as soon as we can, they probably want to know when something becomes active or coming soon or goes pending, and they're going to want to get that email in real time. So you can use the MLS to do that. I would say that's probably, in my opinion, I think that would be a little bit more for someone that maybe you're going to go see in house with that person at any moment, however you do that. But if there's someone that just really loves browsing houses and they want a bunch of emails here, I still think the MLS is the answer to that. Let the email do it.
If they create an account to go to your website or go to your app, you can do it through command as well. You can actually create, you just go to,
Save search.
so the save searches in there. You can create save searches for that person. And whenever you go to save it, it asks if they want email reminders. So you can do none, or you can do daily, you can do the instant
What can we do
something
next?
hits that criteria. The pros and cons. So this is pulling from the KWS. Yeah.
Yes, this is what it's talking about.
So you don't get the duplicates. So if you sign somebody up, let's say with 3 different MLSs and the house gets listed in 3 different MLSs, they get blasted 3 times for the same house. That should not happen with the KWLS.
It might, depending, because there's duplicates in it. It might.
Occasionally it will.
I think with the MLS coming together, it'll be less frequent.
The nice thing with it is how well you can interact and they can interact. So if you create a couple save searches for them, they may want to create their own save searches, which you can also see their save searches. So
You can see their saved searches, you can see their favorites, you can see what
Right.
they've garbaged. What you can't see is what they've viewed
right.
in their timeline. So I tend to not use the save search just because I'd rather use the MLS, because if they looked at something or favorited something, it's a little bit more. You can see what they're doing. With this one, you can't not,
Sure.
not.
I'm paid
not
to
talk
like
back,
command, okay?
you know,
It's-
I get to say what I don't like a lot.
Exactly.
I wish that this one did, and I think that the usability on this is super cool, because you can go to find on map and draw a circle just like you can on like, triad or triangle or something like that. And you can just be where is this where I do it?
It's been kind of hit and miss on it. Yeah, actually.
Where
draw
is
with
it?
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, custom.
Yeah. And
Draw on map. There it is. So then you can go in here and actually draw, where it is you want them to get it from. I wish you could do that with the biweekly nurture, honestly, instead of having to select neighborhoods. I wish they would smoosh these two concepts together. Me personally, but it's still powerful. You can target it. So yeah, the answer is yeah. I like the nurture because if they click on a neighborhood, you'll see it in their timeline. And we're definitely going over time, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep
I like
going.
the smart
It'll be recorded.
I technically put 3 buck on the sheet. I knew it was gonna be 3, but
So let me see. Let's make this last point here. As far as like, if you're gonna work with someone, like we said, you call them one time, you call them a second time, they need to go on a thing. You go to your smart plans. I put them on, for example, I'll put them on the monthly reminder plan, monthly call reminder plan. You'll notice that it says delay, do something, delay, do something, delay, do something, and then it says link to DYN. That links to another smart plan of mine that is very likely in this case, the long-term nurture plan. So then, okay, I try calling them every month for a little bit of time. That's eventually going to become unmanageable too, because everyone's going to end up being on my call list at least once a month. Right. So after a certain period of time, if they're not responding, automatically they're going to go to this plan, which goes 90 days and repeat unlimited times. And as long as you're kind of keeping up with your task list, the concept is you're slowly putting people on these lists that you're not going to get walloped with everybody all at once. And then because I'm working more on the team side of things, I have it only cycle through that a couple of times, then I do something that's completely automated so that eventually people just kind of do that. But that's sort of my tactic on smart plans is link them up to stuff that becomes progressively more spaced out and more automated. And if they're not responding, they're not clicking anything, they're not picking up the phone, they're not texting back, they're just not any of the things. Eventually they just end up on a completely automated plan. In my design, that's just like you get a text every 6 weeks or something like that. It just reminds you that I exist. I'm not calling this person as a manual touch anymore, so I'm not getting overwhelmed. And they all go somewhere eventually so that you're not just being clobbered with your entire context list all the time.
But they're still there. I don't.
Yeah, because I mean, that's the whole thing is who has time to call, your database is only going to grow. That's what they do. They're just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So eventually, whatever solution you have that's a manual touch, doesn't matter what it is unmanageable. All of your manual touches are unsustainable in the long term. So finding a way to make sure that those leads that seem like really low percentage are still getting something, but they don't require your direct attention. So
Say you do that. You go in but you've set them up to do this long-term thing because you don't think you're gonna actually work with them. You just go in and delete the next steps on their plan.
you
Like,
can, if you pull one from the library, you're talking about if you pull a
Well,
pre-made.
Let's say you just did this month or whatever that next more spaced out plan is, but you managed to actually talk to them and get them going.
Oh, yeah, no,
Go
yeah.
back in
That's part of the sort of contact management. If I get in touch with someone and they're on a smart plan, thanks for joining. One of the first things I'll do is I'm going to be in their contact card anyway, and they want to go see a house, but they probably don't need to get a text from me tomorrow that says like, hey, just checking in.
Right.
Take them off that. Yeah, one of the first things I do is take them all off the plans if I'm in direct contact with somebody, so that they don't accidentally get things that make no sense. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you for joining. Yeah, we definitely went off book, but
no, good.
yeah, we talked
Yeah.
all about smart plans and what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, no,
Why
no.
don't you jump in?
Yeah, I'll take over that so you can take a little break here. Jonathan, you are a rock star. I do appreciate it.
I try. I learn from the best.
So let's say, pretty much. So let's say you just sat through this entire thing and you're like, I really don't know where to start other than, okay, these smart plans seemed really cool. Well, that's nice too, because there's a library button right here beside the My Smart Plans. And I'm actually going to kill Jonathan so I don't mess with his. Let me pull
thanks.
mine
Yeah,
up instead. My pleasure. All of a sudden you're signed up for, you have a bunch of weird smart plans on there. You're like,
Yeah, that was
yeah.
I did not ask for a call from you.
Right.
Incorporated.
Let's see here. If it remembers me, it does remember me. And I'm in the process of clearing out all my smart plans just to make things a little bit cleaner, neater,
You have a bunch of test
organized.
plans.
Oh, I deleted everything
Okay.
just so I could start from scratch. So over here on the side, you have library. Now, library is fantastic because it is number one, things made by Keller Williams, which there's a huge con list on that. I'll tell you in a minute. But it's great because it's, Kellerized. The other nice thing is you have people that are really proud of their smart plans. It worked really well for them. So you see like Marty Miller, who, if you haven't heard of Marty Miller, he actually is fantastic. He's got a great YouTube channel.
60 challenge.
Exactly. So like he has a monthly call plan. You could be like, oh, I love Marty Miller. Let's see what he's doing. So you can hit this little add smart plan here, or actually before you do that, you probably want to see what it is. You can hit view steps and it is call, wait 30 days and call again.
That looks familiar.
That is, yeah, it doesn't it though? Looks like somebody else's. But same premise though. If you're like, man, I just don't know where to start, you could start with something that Marty Miller made. Now, going over here, I think this is called Carolinas Region. Let me see, by Sydney Seymour. It is, okay. So I wanted to grab this one in particular because it just covers so many bases at the same time. So this is a 36 touch Carolina Region smart plan. Now, as Jonathan talked about before, and I think it's going to show here, you see how it has this add the smart plan, add the smart plan, add the smart plan. That's because it actually requires multiple smart plans together. So this is one smart plan that actually has 4 additional smart plans integrated into it. So it's kind of like it literally is your 36 touch all together. Now, in this case, you'll notice I can't download it, but that's cool. It's just saying I have to download these first.
Where did you get that?
So I knew what I was looking for with this one, so I cheated.
Sure.
So yeah, it's under library and you go to the little search. And what I was looking for was Carolinas Region. And Sydney Seymour, anybody that doesn't know her, she is the regional version of me. So, and actually, she was actually just rated the #1 regional MCTT or regional tech trainer in the country. So at family reunion. Anyway, then you can download once you've downloaded those other ones. That's one of the reasons why I cleaned it out is so I
Yeah,
could
so you
demonstrate stuff
scan it.
like that. I could get the error messages so I could show the error messages. So,
What happens if I don't have a birthday for somebody?
well, it's just going to skip that part
That's
actually.
good.
Although that's going to stink though, because you want to wish them a happy birthday. Although that gives a great reason to call them and be like, hey, I would love to start wishing you a happy birthday. Do you mind giving it to me? And I'm sure you have a perfect script for that one.
I just take Facebook first.
Very fair. What was I? Oh, so speaking of birthdays, let me actually hop into the birthday one that got added. So this is a Keller Williams managed plan. You'll know that because it tells you this is a Keller Williams managed plan. I don't think I'm the only one that hates that.
Yeah, it's anything with the date trigger.
Yeah,
Because they haven't released that as a manual trigger yet. I really wish they would.
they really need to. So what we're whining about is whenever something's set to a date, in this particular case, it's pulling from your database and goes, hey, this person's birthday is on, February 15th. Well, if that's the trigger, you can't make a lot of modifications. You can change the actual message all you want, make a fantastic, in this case, the birthday card, make it whatever you want, but you can't change that to, let's say you wanted to send an email to the person instead. It doesn't let you change it to that. So I kind of,
That's why I leaned on the how do you make your own smart plan stuff. A lot of the stuff in the library is really good,
yeah,
but I usually find that I'll flip through them kind of like flipping through a magazine.
Mhm.
and get a bunch of ideas and then put what I like together.
Exactly.
Or take one and just like poke holes in it and rearrange it or something.
Right. And that's the other nice thing with the library part though, is it does allow you to see it kind of like all three steps. So you have like the Kellerized stuff that's locked down. You can only do it this one certain way, but it gives you ideas. And then you see what other people have done with a similar thing. If you do that search within the library, or you can just go and create your own if you're just like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to build from mine. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, the pros and cons with that. Now, in a lot of cases, it is, let's say you're somebody that you're like, oh man, I keep hearing about this K-score thing, and I'm going to start talking people into becoming agents and get them in my downline and the whole 9 yards. You could definitely see, some K-score smart plans that have been created so you can do easy follow-ups and things like that without spending a lot of time on it yourself and trying to reinvent the wheel. Because hey, 7 times following up with somebody, yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. Let me look at this. Let's see, a phone call,
You know, a lot of these are
delay,
pretty simple.
touch
I think
task, yeah.
simplicity for the win on a lot of this stuff.
It really is. Yeah.
Because you're not going to get all the information for everybody on any one contact. You're not going to have everybody's address and birthday and phone number and email. We'd love that. But if you've got plans that rely on any one of those things, your plan starts to get shaky. So you have to be able to kind of like, okay, does this plan still work? Even though I might not have all of the information.
Mhm.
So a lot of my stuff will just say like contact reminder.
So what is the general 36 touch, keep in touch type of plan look like?
Yeah. So
Because for the longest time, I would try to assign it and it
Mhm.
says it's not active.
It might just be that it requires some information that you don't have.
So
But it-
what,
you know,
what
see
made
it.
you want to skip that step?
When was the last time you tried it? Why?
Years ago.
Yeah, it used to just get stuck and say no. Now
Yeah.
it'll override step. So if something's like send text, but you don't have it, it'll just say, it'll just blow by and go to the next thing. It used to do that. It used to stay back out.
now it does. I do like that it gives you heads up on it, like where it's saying that there's not a neighborhood on that. So it's like, hey, this person doesn't have a neighborhood, so it's not going to take advantage of the neighborhood nurture part of this.
So we don't have a smart plan that is just like a keep in touch thing. It all has to tie to a neighborhood or a real estate.
What do you mean by keep in touch? Like what?
Well, when we had market leader before, or E-Edge and all that, I think it was before you got here, it would send, tips for, hacks.
You can do that.
But I mean, there was a whole library to choose from. You can do a 12-step, you can do a 24-step, and it would send it out every 2 weeks, and it would be like, here's some tips on how to get red out of a carpet type of thing, just to keep in touch.
Sure.
We don't have anything like that.
There's nothing that changes unless you know something.
So there's nothing like integrated into our systems like that. Now, there are those. So if you go to
It would be
Does-
like a newsletter.
Yeah.
General information newsletter.
if you go to designs on a regular basis, you're constantly going to see holiday updates. You're going to constantly see like little neighborhood changes. Like little, one of the things that they start promoting kind of heavily is the videos. So you can put in the market information for a neighborhood, and it makes this quick little like 30-second video of a neighborhood, and it's got like a moving truck and like the different numbers popping up. And then you just add that to your smart plan. I think I could be wrong on this, despite Keller Williams being very like, here is a boxed way of being a real estate agent and a boxed way of making sure you stay in contact with your clients. The actual information you give them, they try to make sure that you're giving them unique information. Because I know the ones you're talking about, I'm actually signed up for like 3 or 4 of them from different agents, and they come in and they're nice, but at the same time, whenever you start seeing the same email from a couple different agents, you're like, oh, that's no fun. And then some of them, it's just really kind of relatively like has nothing to do with me information, where if your specialty is Burlington itself and you're always just sending out something weekly or monthly or bi-weekly, whatever, specifically on Burlington. Yeah, it's got that personal touch that you don't get from those services.
If you're looking for something that like would be like the same newsletter every 12 weeks or something like that, or every time they get it, they get something different. Is that what it needs to do?
Think so.
That's pretty cool. No,
Yeah.
you can, there's workarounds for everything, you know, but it's not gonna be as like a set it and forget it, like you're asking about. But you can, like what I'll do for mailers, as a mailer reminder is I'll put myself on a smart plan that ticks off over 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is. That's just makes a task on my list that says, send a mail item to whoever's tagged in your database as this. And then you can similarly do that and just say, hey, send your newsletter out to everyone with your tag. And you just send, you know, bulk email out, but it's still a manual touch. It doesn't have that just kind of happen thing. That flavor that's looking for.
And the second part with the fix for your previous one. So whenever I go to add this person, I didn't have a phone number for them. So it actually tells me, hey, you know, you can add to the plan anyway, but you're going to be kind of limping. Because anything that deals with phone number, they're not going to get.
Yeah.
So, but then it goes right into where you set it up. So.
All right.
Fantastic, Jonathan. Thank you so much. That was,
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Of information. It's always more than you think. I was like,
It
I'm only gonna
is.
talk for like 20 minutes.
Right? I just really, I appreciate the fact that you're coming from this role and went into the actual being a real estate agent. So you got to say, okay, so this is how I actually use this stuff. So the hypotheticals.
Y'all are working fine.
No.
Happy Easter.
Thank you. Happy Easter to you. Everybody that's still online, thank you very much. Dreama, thank you.
You know, it's so that's not gonna be right.
It is. You just come back.
Yeah.